How was everyone doing? Good. Where'd the sun go?
Yeah, right.
Tonight, 20 minutes ago it was warm.
No.
It's got that little chill still.
Looks like rain in the forecast for Portland tomorrow, so it might be a wet game down there.
That's okay. Seattle sunshine.
Perfect. Thoughts on the matchup with Portland and getting ready for them here tomorrow?
It's another big rivalry week all across the league, but I think our rivalry is pretty darn good.
What is the health situation for your team? Anybody who's might be missing a game tomorrow?
I will give you some bad news first. Unfortunately, Josh, in training, tweaked his adductor right quad area, so he's actually not. He's questionable on the injury report, but I'm just going to rule him out. He's not going. And everybody else, all the questionable guys are going. We'll everything else is okay, but Josh is out.
How tough is that for him? You know, coming off of last week.
I mean, it's terrible. It's he was playing really well, had a lot of confidence, so we feel gutted for the kid.
Did you think that the early plan was to have him with JP then in the middle against Portland?
Yeah. Why not?
Well, yeah. With him, like, what was the discussion with him? I mean, injuries happen, but like, how is he kind of?
Yeah, just injuries do happen, and just get back as soon as you can. Try to boost their confidence, but it's hard, Jada. It's hard because he was playing really well.
How do you deal with like young players? Like we had Obed last season too. Like that kind of have injuries. How do you kind of mentally prepare them for how they're getting back from that?
Well, you offer words of encouragement. You get the sports science guys, the trainers, the physios, everybody to help them. It's a group effort. But my words, Brecky's words, Freddie's words, the coach's words, they help a little bit, but it's still a blow to the young players and the senior players as well.
When did just for timeline purposes, when did the injury happen?
I believe it was on Wednesday, Jeremiah, or maybe it was Tuesday. Was it Tuesday's training or Wednesday? It was Tuesday.
Oh, so the first day back.
First day back. I'd have to verify that, but...
we also saw Albert was listed on the injury report. Is there?
Yeah, he's got some heel pain, but we're gonna see if he can play through that. He had a cortisone injection. Usually that cortisone takes a day or two to really kick in. And there's nothing structurally there. It's just a pain tolerance type of thing.
You with that happening and with Aaron and Raul getting back, is there a thought at all to maybe save them for the summer kind of thing before putting them back in the starting lineup? Or
you mean saving Raul
and Hebert? Yeah.
No.
Just because of the.
No. They need to find minutes on the field. That's been one of the perplexing challenges, or good problem to have type conversations that we've been having here. I'd love to get all those guys on the field, but Jordan and Chu have done really well.
Jordan and Christian both called into the national team. Is the expectation that they don't miss any time or any
physically
games?
won't. Let me say that again. They will be in Portland. They will be back for Minnesota. But what happens in between, we don't control.
Right. So it's they're not. They should at least be available for the Minnesota game.
Yes, it just depends on how much they play against Mexico or not. That's
of course.
We'll wait until Wednesday and then we'll see.
Brian, the classic "be quick but don't hurry" quote a great coach. How do you the messaging for these guys in terms tomorrow? Let's play our game, but don't.
Yeah, we know Portland's a counter transition type team. They almost cede possession by design, and they're trying to hit you on the counter. They're just missing a bunch of guys that have helped them in years past. So the new guys that they're trying to incorporate, does that change maybe the way Gio plays, the way Portland looks, their new DP? Does that make a difference? Is he a more possession guy rather than a defend and counter type guy? We'll see. I mean, it's a little bit of a different team, but again, it's a rivalry game, so it could unfold in many different ways.
We ask you this every year, and we will until it changes. The away team seems to have kind of.
Well, they've won 3 in a row, so that doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's throw that out the window. Away team. Let's just call it like it is. We need to get back on track.
You know, there's a cliche, obviously, that you throw the records out the window when you have a big rivalry game like this, but it does seem to have rung true to a degree in this particular rivalry, especially recently, where it doesn't really matter where the teams are in the table. It's like the game ends up being almost like a separate story from the rest of the season. Maybe not that specifically, but do you talk about how dangerous in Portland is and how much they've had your guys' number recently?
We mentioned the fact that they've won 3 in a row. We've mentioned the fact that they've struggled at the beginning of the year, similar to what our message was with the Galaxy and in Kansas City. But we haven't gone to elaborate lengths to try and hype the game up. They already know it. They already know it's a big game. There's guys like, I'll give you one example. Kellen Rowe coming back from injury. I mean, he's absolutely chomping on the bit. There was, we might have, kept him home one more, just to be safe and ultra careful. He's like going, heck no. I'm ready to go, coach, put me in, type of attitude. They all get it. They all want to play. I don't really have to hype them up.
You, with Young this season, he seems like he's even stepped up another level. There's a lot of positives to talk about as far as the defense goes, but can you talk a little bit about him and what he's been able to add to that?
Yeah, has he played better than last year, years past? Yeah, I would say that's a fair comment, Jade. I think he's in a good run form and he feels confident, strong. I think there's a lot of different reasons to that. Remember, this is a team sport, so as a team plays well, individual players play well. I'd still like him to, understand how we want to play out from the back. We're always polishing that. We're always trying to get a little bit better. I think he's bought into that. His passing, he's actually improved his longer passes. So yeah, I think there's been improvement. But as always, we're going to try and coach him up and even squeeze a little bit more out of him, and see what we get.
Brian, has that been a point of emphasis during the offseason and now to be able to play the longer passes from the back? Is that something you looked at on tape? Because it seems
well,
like
the longer passes over the top are just because, look, you got Jordan Morris, Leo Chu, they're super fast. Christian on the right-hand side does that little check and move, or the ball comes square, Christian gets in behind. We've always had long passes in our kind of the way we want to play. But what I would say, a lot of our focus has been trying to get balls in between the lines, just breaking a line of pressure, and there common sense applies. Look, if you have one pass that breaks 2 lines of your opponent's defense, that's great. If you just break 1 line, that's okay. Sometimes that triggers other movements. You always want to be careful about square passes or back passes because that invites pressure from a lot of teams.
So are you looking for more of, when you're trying to break the 1 line or 2 line, for the person with the ball to be able to read that, or do you need players to make opening runs?
You need players sometimes that just stay in the pockets and have a little patience in their movement, and you obviously need the guy with the ball to find those passes.
I asked Alex about this yesterday. Do you have a favorite moment from kind of your time in Seattle against Portland?
I don't know. We're going through some of the goals that were scored in this rivalry. We're just in the coach's office looking at goals scored. I mean, Freddie scored a lot, Raul scored a lot, Clint scored a lot. I remember Oba's goal, where he kind of got a ball from Lamar and he does a little dance and a twirl and he goes in. And I mean, there's been a lot of, and look, I remember Chara's bomb from 30. They've had some good goals. We've had some timely goals. There was one play that I forgot about, was Roman Torres ended up playing like right wing because I think we were down a goal and down a guy maybe, and Roman somehow, God bless Roman, ended up playing right wing, and he crosses the ball and Dempsey heads the ball in for, I think, 2-2.
2-2.
I mean, there's a lot of good history and a lot of bad history. So, it's like I said, it's an entertaining rivalry.
Josh, it's not it's this game like day to day. Josh.
Yeah, he's already out here running around. Jada, you see him, so we'll just check in with him next week.